All right, so how do people know that magic and metaphysics is real? Aside from their own personal experiences with it, is there any scientific evidence to back some of this stuff up? Well, let's get into that. So, there's a college professor, Dr. William Bengston, and he was one of these typical educated people that didn't believe in anything non-physical, didn't believe in magic, energy healing, and he had this nagging shoulder injury from when he was a kid, and some Reiki guy basically volunteered to heal him, and he didn't think it was going to work, but he was being open-minded or whatever, just being friendly, and decided, all right, go for it. And much to his surprise and doubt, this lifelong injury that he had, this pain that he had been dealing with for most of his life, went away. The energy healing worked. And this really shook him up, because this is a normie, a materialist, scientism normie. So he basically has two options at this point. He can just go about his life and basically ignore it, that it ever happened, or he can start investigating it. So since he's a college professor, he started doing, and he has the resources to do all this, he started doing controlled studies with energy healing. And there's a few things to take away from his research that we're going to get into later. But basically, he tried pretty much all the techniques. Reiki, prana, blue flame, white light, everything, right? And so what he was doing was he was putting these cancer cells in these lab rats. Man, it would suck to be a lab rat, wouldn't it? Oh, man, science is brutal, man. Science is brutal. So anyway, he's putting these, a really aggressive, malignant form of cancer in these lab rats. And so he starts doing energy healing on them. These have like malignant tumors on them, right? These are like, it's a very visible form of cancer. So these lab rats have these very malignant tumors on them. He starts zapping them. And then all of a sudden, the tumors start to ulcerate. Yeah, it almost looks like it's getting worse at first, right? And then it ulcerates, and then the tumor goes away. So, but not only does the tumor go away, that lab rat is now immune to that form of cancer. And then lab rats born from that lineage are also immune from that cancer. So then he's like, huh. So then he starts taking pictures of the rats and taking them home and doing energy healing on the lab rats from his house, through the picture, distance healing, right? Which I prefer doing distance healing myself, but I digress. So, same results. The cancer ulcerates, goes away. Now that rat is immune to it, and the lineage from that rat is also immune to it. And so then he starts testing. So then he starts testing the water. He starts blessing the water bottles. Starts zapping the water bottles with some Reiki, some golden light, whatever. And the same thing had the same effect. The cancer ulcerates, goes away. The rat's immune to it, and all the rats from the lineage are immune to it. And it's for that reason right there that I bless most of my food and water. And I feel like everyone should. I should probably do a video on that. But anyway, so there's a few things from his research that I find like really interesting that stands out. And one of them is that the more malignant the tumor was, the easier and faster it was to heal it. So if the more benign the tumor was, the more harmless it was, the longer it took to get rid of. And that's a really fascinating data point. And he interpreted that most of the healing is actually being done by the person receiving the healing. And he looks at it as basically an exchange of information. So if you look at some of the different models for magic and how magic works, there's like 7 or 8 different models, but the 3 main ones is the spiritual model, where all the spirits are real, all the gods are real; the psychological model, where they're all archetypes and aspects of our psychology; and the information model, where it's just like Bengston said, that he basically saw it just as a exchange of information. And it seems like radionics works very much on that premise for metaphysics, as an exchange of information. But I thought that was really fascinating. And then again, that the rats, after they cured the cancer, got rid of the cancer, after the cancer went away, that they were immune to it. And then not only that, that all the rats from that lineage were also immune to it. So it's a super fascinating detail. And then the fact that the more malignant the tumor was, the easier it was to get rid of and cure, and the less malignant. So, but I want to bring up a few points to this, though, is because there's a lot of people that say there's no evidence for this stuff, or because they don't understand the mechanism of how it works, they think it's just a placebo. But no one's really willing to do the work and test it for themselves, at least not in a real and honest way like Bengston did. So I think that's something that people can start doing more of. But another thing about Bengston's research is because he was told the same thing, that there is no evidence that any of this stuff was real. And then when he started getting into the field and started doing his research, he found out that everyone that's done tests on this subject got basically the same results he did. That there's a lot of evidence for this stuff being real. And as far as the mechanism goes, that'll be a video for another time. But, because there's a lot of people there are people like skeptics, some of the dumb atheists, militant atheists out there, that started in metaphysics. And right as soon as some of these people have stories where they were starting to get results, where they're like blasting people with chi balls, they could see auras. But because they didn't understand the mechanism, what was causing it, they just thought it was all in their head. So they just abandoned it. And it just seems so silly to me. Like right when you're starting to get results, you abandon it because you don't understand the mechanism. So I think that's another pitfall people need to watch out for. Because who cares what the mechanism is? Get testable, repeatable results first. Worry about the mechanism later. Just get it to work. Do the work. So, yeah, energy healing, man. It's super fascinating. And there's other scientists that have done work on, like remote viewing and stuff like that, and magic. Dean Radin is one of those guys. I think he was the guy that did the double slit experiment. Even though I wasn't impressed by the double slit then, I'm not impressed by it now. And again, that's a video for another time. But the bottom line is anyone can do this. Bengston, he tried out every technique and all of them worked. Everything he tried worked. Every single thing he tried worked. So it's pretty amazing. And yeah, some things are going to work better for you than others. Like me, I prefer a golden light. I haven't really dabbled too much in the blue flame. I probably should, because there might be something in there that could be illuminating, But anyway, so get out there, guys. Start doing your meditations, because all energy healing is you're just externalizing a meditation. Really. Get out there, Start blessing your food and water too. So, you know, even something basic like the Christians do, where they say grace over their food for dinner, I'm sure that has a positive effect on them. But anyway, I wish you all the best on your magical journey. How do you guys like it out here? Yeah. Anyway, if you guys have any comments, questions, put them down below. I wish you all the best on your magical journey. You guys all take care. Bye.